This is Part 2 Episode 17. Xiao Chen, you're not thinking of a mass slaughter, are you? Xiao Chen smiled faintly and said, I don't like to be passive, why should I wait for them to come and kill me? I will take the initiative to wipe them all out. It seemed like Lawrence's body was really not that healthy. When he was in a fit of coughing, his slightly pale complexion turned red. Only until a long time later did it calm down, then he said, You are seriously a dangerous person. I have no other choice. They were the one who forced me into this situation. I only wanted to survive. Rather than passively waiting for dangers to approach, I'd rather take the initiate to attack. Lawrence gradually started to understand Xiao Chen's personality. He was a very decisive person. He would never hesitate, or be swayed for any reason. Do you need my help? You want to help me? This made Xiao Chen very surprised. His enemies right now were not some easy target. To offer his help in this kind of situation, it was equivalent to putting his life on the line. Let's look out for each other. Maybe not long later, I will need you to save my life. Even though Lawrence looked somewhat sickly, his real potential was extremely terrifying. He was even reputed as the king among practitioners of the same level, who could possibly threaten his life. Xiao Chen looked at him in puzzlement and asked, Could it be that on this dragon island, you also have some nemesis? I don't know. I just had a feeling. A pair of cold and gloomy eyes seemed to be locking onto me. It was not a good feeling. I was unable to pinpoint his exact location. Lawrence was speaking very slowly. It seemed like this matter was shrouded in mystery. Very well, let's look out for each other then. Lawrence didn't explain in detail. Xiao Chen also didn't try to dig too deeply. When both of them had already decided to help each other out, Lawrence laughed, but was somewhat callous when he said, I haven't killed anyone for quite a while. How about I help you get rid of all your misfortune tonight? Xiao Chen also laughed out loud. He could finally see what kind of person Lawrence was. He was not just all talk. This somewhat sickly, but extremely handsome Void Master was those passive type. However, he could be incomparably cold-hearted once he make a move. They did not start the operation hastily. While maintaining their own condition in the past few days, they also paid close attention to the situation on the island. The third day, Lawrence returned after understanding the situation and said, I saw the solitary sword demon. Lawrence was clearly very thrilled to see this person. The solitary sword demon. Xiao Chen's heart was stirred. He paid a visit to Buddhist Asian 2 days ago, and asked about the terrifying experts on the island. Buddhist Asian mentioned the solitary sword demon was certainly one of them. He practiced the most powerful swordplay under the heaven. According to rumor, the solitary sword demon's bloodline was out of ordinary. He was the descendant of the illusory Dugu Qiubai. This clan only had a single descendant in every era. He named himself the Sword Demon as an encouragement to surpass his ancestor. He learned swordplay at the beach since childhood. When he was 15 years old, he was capable of splitting 9 huge waves. After 20 years old, he rarely had any adversary among his peers. He was an extremely terrifying person. Buddhist Asian suspected the sword demon as the main driving force behind the big purge. Let me calculate if the time fit in. Lawrence recalled his memory and pondered for a while, then he said, the solitary sword demon entered the heart of the dragon island a long time ago, but he only trained in front of the divine monolith for a while before he returned to practice his sword at the beach. It seems like the big purge occurred just around that time. Perhaps your friend's suspicion is correct. The both of them had already realized, if their speculation was correct, then the solitary sword demon might cause a huge storm with his reappearance in the depths of the Dragon Island. When Xiao Chen and Lawrence were in the middle of a discussion, an alluring and lovely woman arrived at this place. It was actually a member of the Red Powder Alliance. Her beauty was only second to Rowena. Her name was Leona. She was extremely sexy and charming. Her beautiful face was brimming with a foxy charm. The pupils of her eyes resembled water ripples. Her beauty lured the soul in, snatching it from the body before one even noticed. Even though her lips were not smeared with lipstick, they still appeared incomparably bright and rosy. Her neck was as white as the swan's, her towering twin peaks were standing erect. Her curvy waist was not lacking in any way. Her beautiful buttocks were ample and perfectly round. Along with her leisure steps and slight movements, words can't even describe how alluring it was. That pair of slender jade legs were fair and tender. They appeared faintly discernible under the skirt as they swayed back and forth. It was incomparably captivating. The silky skirt was brushed by the wind. She was elegant and graceful. It clearly outlined her indistinct curvy body, making her appear even more alluring. She was practically an evil spirit, one that specifically came for your soul. The Red Powder Alliance was really well informed. They actually found Xiao Chen at this place. Lawrence immediately concealed himself in the first moments and retreated. The Red Powder Alliance wanted to take one step further in regards to their alliance with Xiao Chen. Leona wished to stay beside Xiao Chen and help him. Even though Leona was indirect, the meaning was very clear. This was practically delivering a beauty to him. Sending this kind of enchanting vixen to his door, one can see that the Red Powder Alliance really had an eye on Xiao Chen. They obviously wanted to use a beauty to acquire his trust and favorable impression. Leona was sweet and charming. After indirectly stating her purpose, like a flexible willow in the wind, she got beside Xiao Chen gracefully. Her smile was extremely flirtatious. Her sexy red lips were flickering with an enticing luster. She lightly blew into Xiao Chen's ear. Then she sat beside him naturally. How would you be able to help me? Xiao Chen sat at the lakeside calmly. He didn't move an inch. Although I cannot help you kill the enemy with my current ability, clearly, Leona didn't want to put herself in a dangerous situation. She smiled impishly and said with a titter, however, I can make you loosen up to the greatest extent possible. This kind of words could even be said to be extremely ambiguous. She got behind Xiao Chen as she said these. Then she stretched out her jade-like fingers and started to knead his back. Then she exposed a lovely smile and said, Don't misunderstand, oh. For I was saying to help you relax by massaging like this, to allow your tense muscles to loosen up. This was clearly a trap. The more she told others not to misunderstand, the more ambiguous her movements and speech became. She lightly expelled a breath beside Xiao Chen's ear, and the movements on Xiao Chen's back became even bolder. Xiao Chen seemed to be enjoying this kind of massage very much. He comfortably stretched his body and said very seriously, it was pretty good. Leona cast a flirtatious glance at Xiao Chen and sat beside him. Her soft body was practically leaning against Xiao Chen's body. Then she said, I expended a great deal of effort, yet you are only using a few words of praise. Then how do you want me to reward you? The corners of Xiao Chen's mouth lifted up as he looked into her eyes. I haven't thought about it yet. But at the very least, you must help me get stronger. The situation on the Dragon Island is very complicated now. Everyone's life is on the line. Confidence only comes with strength. The development of one's ability, how could other people help with that? You can only rely on your own bitter training. Leona leaned against Xiao Chen. Her delicate body was almost entirely reclined on Xiao Chen's body. Waves of body fragrance transmitted over here, she said in a soft voice. I know you definitely have a special training method. Otherwise, how could you keep making a breakthrough? I know it is impossible for you to teach me all your secret techniques, but a few tricks is still fine, right? Xiao Chen immediately understood. The Red Powder Alliance not only had an eye for his strength. They were also interested in his training method. Leona's tender waist was like a snake's. Her arms were as gentle as the willow. She made Xiao Chen's right hand wrap around her slender waist. Both her arms were hanging onto Xiao Chen's neck. She was extremely gentle and lovely. It was as if her cheeks had been dyed red by the sun. Her tender and rosy skin was so soft that it felt like a drop of water. 5. Waves of female-specific fragrance directly transfused into Xiao Chen's nose. And Leona even twisted her body, grazing the tip of her hair on Xiao Chen's cheeks unceasingly. Her sexy and alluring body stuck onto Xiao Chen like a glue. She was as hot as fire, and as soft as water. This kind of ambiguous provocation seriously caught people's heartstrings. Just at this time, Xiao Chen lightly pushed her away. He stood up and said with a smile, It is already time for lunch. Please go roast some wild animals for Keek and me first. Oh, while you're at it, also roast some lake fishes. One more thing, Keek is fond of eating fruits after meal, please also prepare some. Leona was dumbstruck. Could this man be a blockhead? If he remains unmoved, then so be it. But he actually made this kind of enchanting woman go gather firewood and cook outdoor. Xiao Chen, you. When will you teach me some secret technique? My technique is a little hard to learn. It is not fit for a girl to practice. How hard could it be? You are definitely making fun of me. It's true. In regards to a girl. In order to learn this divine technique, one has to first castrate himself. Xiao Chen lifted Keek, who was sleeping soundly on the ground, and left with large strides. That is nonsense. How can a woman castrate? Infinitely close to man. Leona was fuming. She stood at the same place and was stamping her feet while grinding her teeth. She lost her temper that quickly. Lawrence was watching Xiao Chen while sitting on top of an ancient tree. Xiao Chen laughed innocently. He half joked without the slightest care in the world. This woman was really a seductive evil spirit. I am an ordinary man. It was only natural if something were to happen. However, she was still too foxy in the end. Moreover, she came with an impure goal. This kind of bait can be eaten up, but one needs to carefully take off the fishhook. Lawrence said, from what I find out these past few days. Except for the extraordinary beautiful Lord Rowena, everyone else from the Red Powder Alliance had once come into contact with experts from various big alliances. Apparently, this Leona had even followed the solitary sword demon once. If that is true, then I better remain at a respectful distance. The two were going to start their secret operation soon. Lawrence eventually concealed himself again. Xiao Chen called Leona over here, then he smiled and said, may I request Lady Leona's help now? Leona was pretending to be shy. Her pair of eyes could hook one's soul. She was incomparably foxy. She smiled flirtatiously and said, how can I be of help? Please go back to the assembly point of the practitioners and tell everyone. I will definitely destroy the Nature Alliance founded by Yaluoda within 10 days. You don't believe us, Red Powder Alliance? No, I truly believe you. This kind of news should be kept confidential. And why must you spread the words via us? Some people must be intimidated with absolute strength. I want to let them know I am not someone to be taken lightly. With this kind of move, I bet you want to kill the chicken to make an example of the monkeys. I suppose. After a short discussion, Leona left gracefully. The news spread like wildfire. This was undoubtedly one kind of forceful declaration of war. Recently, Xiao Chen stirred up some storm. The big battle at the Snowy Mountain, he showed off an undeniably powerful battle aura. Even those who were reputed to be the strongest among the young practitioners couldn't help but pay close attention to him now. The assembly point of the practitioners turned into a turmoil. Many people were looking forward to this battle. Even more were looking forward to Xiao Chen's big battle with Yang Qingcheng, Carlos, and Wharton after this battle, because that's a battle that could not be avoided. Needless to wait for 10 days, just as the curtain of the first night draws near, Xiao Chen and Lawrence were already getting ready to move. Lawrence, put this near your chest and the middle of the back. Xiao Chen gave a few pieces of Keek's colorful jade shell to Lawrence. After Lawrence received it, he could feel the rock-hard surface of the colorful jade shell. Then he asked, are you afraid that I can't block Xiao Li's flying dagger? If we're fighting face to face, I believe you will be able to block it. But if he attacked in the dark, it was seriously impossible to defend effectively. If it was not for the colorful jade shell last time, I might not be standing here and talking to you now. Xiao Li's flying dagger is really as terrifying as the legend says. Although it was already not the same Xiao Li back in those days, anyone who could exhibit the full potential of this divine technique is still very terrifying. Lawrence was not some arrogant guy who was unable to recognize others' good intentions. He listened to Xiao Chen's suggestion and used a few colorful jade shell to protect his vital parts. Xiao Chen woke Keek, who was in a deep sleep, by shaking it a few times. Then he said, don't run all over the place after you wake up, wait for us here. Keek half-consciously blinked its big eyes and intuitively nodded its head. After that, it re-entered the land of dreams. Xiao Chen faced the three skeletons and said, you guys don't need to make a move tonight, but you must follow us at a good distance. Just in case we exhausted our strength, you must carry us back. The three skeletons nodded their head to express their understanding. Xiao Chen and Lawrence decided to let loose and wage a war. Everything had already been set up properly. The starlight was pretty dim tonight. Darkness shrouded the mountain woods. It appeared especially eerie. Xiao Chen was like a wisp of smoke. He quickly rushed towards the practitioners' assembly point. Lawrence was capable of flight and left behind a streak of light in the sky. The three skeletons followed them from a distant away. Their first raiding target tonight was the Trent's Valley. Xiao Chen decided to pull up Zhao Lin as strength first, and then followed by the Nature Alliance established by Yaluoda and Chaos. The rumor they spread out previously was in order to create a diversion. After he get rid of these side threat, it will be the best time to challenge experts on the level of Yang Qingcheng and Carlos. This is going to be a bloody night. Two ultimate experts, such as Xiao Chen and Lawrence, made an appearance in the Trent's Valley Alliance. The two of them executed a thunderous massacre. The miserable shriek pierced the calm of the night. In the darkness, a piece of green-colored light screen appeared in front of Lawrence. Several hundred-meter square of space was enveloped by that light screen. He was in absolute control of the space. Everywhere he passed through, all the resistance will be crushed. Once a few practitioners from the Trent Valley were confined in this space, their life or death were already completely in control of Lawrence. The meteor shower created by the power of the void was as beautiful as the gorgeous fireworks, but they were very deadly. The few practitioners didn't have any ability to retaliate, they were all penetrated without resistance. For this battle, Xiao Chen didn't even need to make a move, and Lawrence had already wiped the battlefield clean. Void Master really lived up to their name as the most renowned practitioners. He was reaping everyone's life like a death god. In the end, Xiao Chen didn't find any traces of Zhao Lin. They found out from a member of the Trent Valley. It seemed like Zhao Lin could feel dangers approaching, so she already left by herself immediately after returning from the snowy mountain. The miserable shriek alarmed the surrounding alliances. A huge commotion immediately broke out in this region. Lawrence's cloth was stained by a few traces of blood. He had a really bloodthirsty smile at the moment as he said, "I presume Yang Qingcheng and the rest should be at the Nature Alliance. God knows if they will come here after learning about the situation." This Void Master looked somewhat weak and ghastly on quiet days, but he can be really fierce and ruthless once he make a move. Just at this time, a huge commotion suddenly break out in the dark of the night. Miserable shriek was transmitted from a distant place unceasingly. Soon after, the sound of massacre pierced through the skies. On this dark, gloomy night, a huge turmoil actually took place at the practitioners' assembly point. Xiao Chen and Lawrence looked at each other in dismay. They thought of the solitary sword demon at the same time. Right now, the big showdown between various alliances are taking place. This was a game between the schemers. They actually chose tonight to be their day of operation. The sound of massacre shook the heaven. It was very obvious that many alliances had been drawn into the turmoil. This was a battle royal between different factions. This was a premeditated massacre. The big purge was happening again. All those rules that restrict the alliances totally lost their effects a long time ago. After each schemers got in touch with sufficient power, they began a new round of big purge. Their goal was definitely to get rid of their respective enemy. This was a confrontation between the schemers. Some ambitious schemers might succeed and expand their influence one step further, while others might be completely annihilated. Xiao Chen, this is a good opportunity. I know. Xiao Chen's pair of eyes glinted with a chilly ray of light. On this chaotic night, they relied on their powerful ability to clear their path to the Nature Alliance. They inevitably ran into many battles between various alliances on the way. The two of them kill as they go. Xiao Chen seized a long sword, and the sword aura streaked across the night sky smoothly. Everyone who dared to rush towards him was now among the pool of blood. Lawrence was just as terrifying. It was as if all the spellmaster and psychic in the sky ran into their worst adversary. Nobody was able to stop him. They slaughtered their way to the Nature Alliance. This place had also turned into a battlefield. The Nature Alliance was actually wiped out by others a long time ago. The corpse of Yaluoda and Chaos cannot be found. After Xiao Chen searched around carefully, he followed after the bloodstain. This was indeed a chaotic night. Almost all the alliances in this area had participated in the war. This was a desperate confrontation. The bellow of rage was ear-splitting. The practitioners everywhere were fighting at the risk of their life. The weak could only be slaughtered. The glaring sword aura, the berserking spiritual attack, the terrifying spell, and the resplendent rays of light illuminated the dark night. There was no trace of Chaos, the young expert from barbarian tribe, but Xiao Chen and the gang found Yaluoda, who was on the verge of death. It doesn't seem like he has much hope to live by the time they found him. I never thought. He smiled bitterly as he looked at Xiao Chen and said, "I'd actually die on the hands of solitary sword demon." As soon as he finished speaking, Yaluoda stopped breathing. This was a bloody night. They killed because of fear. They killed for survival. This was a very chaotic night. Even until the daybreak next morning, the massacre was still ongoing. Apart from the games between the main forces of a few big factions, all the other alliances in this region had also been drawn into the maelstrom. Kill or be killed. Everyone was caught up in a crazy situation. The pungent smell of blood pervaded the entire mountainous region. The blood almost dyed the entire mountain woods red. And just at the crack of dawn, something even more terrifying occurred. Hundreds of giant wasps flew out from a valley nearby, each and every one of them was as big as a goat. They were attracted by the smell of blood, and crazily launched an attack on numerous practitioners. Everyone was caught unprepared by this sudden outbreak. As the huge wasps kept increasing in numbers, everyone was forced to run towards the deathly still forest. That was because the wasps had covered the entire sky. It was practically like a black cloud falling onto them. All those deceased on the ground were quickly devoured by the huge wasps. Only white bones were left behind. Everyone had escaped into the deathly still forest. However, it was also strange that not a single one of those infinite wasps dared to charge into the deathly still forest. The massacre began anew. The final outcome of the battle between the few big factions was still not decided. But just at this time, something incomparably terrifying happened. As soon as the blood splashed on the ancient trees of this forest, it was as if those millennium-old ancient trees had demonized. Those huge branches bent down and firmly bound everyone in the vicinity. The sight of people rotting away was incomparably terrifying. The flesh and bones were slowly assimilated by the branches and tree trunks. This was really too frightening. Nobody understood why something as terrifying as this could happen. Although the powerful experts could shake off the ancient trees at the critical moment, some who were heavily injured still ended up dead in the demonized ancient trees. And finally, the practitioners no longer dared to let the blood splash onto the ancient trees. Everyone could feel their hair standing on end in this deathly still forest. These ancient trees seemed like evil spirits with souls. Now, everyone finally understood why those wild beasts do not dare to approach this place. This place was really too dangerous. The massacre was still ongoing. Everyone gradually approached the deathly sea of bones. When they were almost at the exit of the deathly still forest, the battle immediately became more intense. They don't have to worry about the blood splashing everywhere anymore. Xiao Chen, it was Rowena, the beauty that could turn all living things upside down. Although she was fleeing, her postures were still as lovely as before. After she called Xiao Chen's name in a gentle voice, she flew over here like a cloud that's as light as feather. She pulled Xiao Chen, her eyes were twinkling, and she said with a flirtatious voice, "Xiao Chen, I will give myself to you as a present." There were close to 10 practitioners chasing after her. Without a doubt it was a misfortune brought about by her charm. "You want to use us as shield?" Seeing how those 10 people already rushed before their eyes, Xiao Chen couldn't help but well up with killing intent. "No, I promise if you can help me get over this calamity, I will definitely gift myself as a present to you." Right now, Xiao Chen also didn't have the chance to say anything else, because those 10 people already got here. They didn't even give him or Rowena the chance to talk. They attacked with their full power. However, these people obviously ran into an iron wall. These two are 6th celestial layer experts. They were not opponents these people could handle. After a dazzling sword chi flashed, Xiao Chen had killed 2 people with a single slice. And Lawrence was even more straightforward. He trapped everyone in the space he controlled, including Xiao Chen. The green radiance stopped everyone's movement except for Xiao Chen. Then he shouted, "Xiao Chen, do it quick. I cannot hold on much longer." Within this bizarre sealed space, the spellmaster, psychic, and even the martial artist found it hard to budge an inch. Xiao Chen was practically chopping vegetables. After the dazzling sword chi flashed, everyone was chopped in half at the waist. The blood splashed about everywhere. The green radiance had faded, all the corpse fell onto the real ground, and the soil was dyed by the color of the blood. This was a perfect combination move, Xiao Chen praised earnestly. Void Masters really live up to their name. Rowena was clearly in shock. 10 experts were actually wiped out in an instant. These 2 men in front of her were so strong that she felt a bit apprehensive. In the end, she got closer to Xiao Chen with graceful steps, and said with a flirtatious smile, "What I said was true, I am all yours." This extraordinarily beautiful woman was incomparably lovely. Her innate foxy charm could easily sway a man's heart. Her breasts were standing erect, they were incomparably plump. Her thin and curvy waist was soft and flexible like the willow in the wind. Her perfectly round buttocks was ample. Her pair of slender jade legs were perfectly straight and sexy. Her body moved up and down when she was catching her breath. It was extremely rousing. Even a clay man would be tempted by her breathtaking appearance. Since her silky dress had been soaked by the sweat, it was hard to cover up the fabulous curved line of her sexy body. It was seriously full of unlimited enticement. It aroused infinite wild and fanciful thoughts. However, Xiao Chen and Lawrence looked at her as if she was nothing. In this incomparably dangerous turmoil, their hearts were as firm as steel. they would not be swayed by anything. Rowena saw how Xiao Chen was not affected by her charm, so she could only stop pretending to be cute. However, she followed behind Xiao Chen closely. She was afraid that the two would abandon her. The slaughterfest was still ongoing. After entering the deathly sea of bones, Xiao Chen and Lawrence finally encountered Yang Qingcheng and the rest. Yang Qingcheng, who had a pair purple divine wings behind her back, the genius illusion master Carlos, and the successor of Xiao Li's flying dagger, Wharton. All of them clearly did not suffer too much damage. After all, they were expert at the level of Exuvia 6th celestial layer. Not many people was capable of injuring them. The instant they noticed Xiao Chen, the three immediately rushed over here. When enemy encountered each other, there was no need for any superfluous words, there was only a life and death confrontation. Very few people could reach up to Yang Qingcheng's level of beauty. A pair of resplendent purple divine wings made her appear even more out of the world. She practically looked like a purple-winged angel that had descended to the mundane world. She streaked across the sky and formed an elegant circle. It transformed into a streak of purple light, and shoot towards Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen happily received the attack. The sealed godlight screen enveloped his body. The radiance of the North Star constellation sparkled. It looked like he was adorned with an ancient divine armor. The long sword in his hand was taking in and sending out searing rays of light. It was like a huge lightning as it flew towards Yang Qingcheng in the sky. The dazzling purple light and that searing sword chi clashed fiercely and exploded with dazzling rays of colorful light. Yang Qingcheng flew higher into the sky and stood on the empty sky. And Xiao Chen also raised his head to gaze at her coldly. On the other side, Lawrence was very crazy. He actually trapped Carlos and Wharton at the same time and launched a terrifying void power attack. Xiao Chen didn't hesitate to rush over there. Within Lawrence's space, Carlos' illusions were clearly not working properly. And Wharton's movements also slowed down. He was not willing to release his throwing knife. Xiao Chen was not affected in the slightest. Last time he was almost killed by these two people, so he wanted to get even with them. But just at this time, Yang Qingcheng also rushed over here. Lawrence's confinement finally lost its effect. After all, no matter how powerful Lawrence was, it was impossible for him to confine three powerful experts at the same time. An intense battle finally broke out, Xiao Chen and Lawrence versus these three powerful experts. The extraordinarily beautiful Rowena knew she wouldn't be able to help, so she stayed out this battle. During the battle, Xiao Chen finally saw the real face of Wharton clearly. During the battle last time, due to Carlos' illusions, he was unable to see the real face of the guy who almost killed him. Wharton had an average look, but he had an outstanding demeanor. His entire person was like the sharp edge of a sword. He gave people an incomparably penetrating feeling. The battle had been ongoing for half an hour already, but Wharton never sent out the throwing knives. He merely fought in close combat style. It was obvious that he was looking for a certain kill opportunity. Under the restraint of the Void Master, Carlos was clearly unable to bring out the full potential of his illusion technique. However, those real spiritual attacks were hardly affected. They formed one after another meteor shower and wreaking havoc everywhere. And Yang Qingcheng was like a streak of purple lightning. She zapped left and right as she descended towards the ground. She shot down so many purple rays of light that almost submerged Xiao Chen and Lawrence within. After the intense battle continued for another quarter of an hour, from among the layers of illusion layout by Carlos, and under the rays of purple light shot down by Yang Qingcheng, Wharton finally made his move. An almost transparent jade-like knife seemed to have pierced through the space and time. It was only as big as a thumb, and as long as a finger. It completely broke free of Lawrence's space lock. It launched perfectly straight for his heart. Lawrence and Xiao Chen were dealing with Yang Qingcheng and Carlos' wild attacks. Wharton had grasped the most perfect opportunity. It was already too late for Lawrence to use his void power to stop it. Xiao Li's flying dagger that was reputed to be unstoppable fell onto the ground, but Lawrence was also sent flying. He spit out two big mouthfuls of blood, and his face was very pale. Although Xiao Li's flying dagger was blocked by the colorful jade shell, the sword chi contained on top of it rushed into his body. Lawrence was a void master. It was only natural that his physical body was not as strong as Xiao Chen. As a result, he was injured by the sword chi. Lawrence. Xiao Chen transformed into a streak of light and rushed over there. And just at this time, Wharton executed his second attack. It was similarly impressive as the first attack. It aimed straight for the middle of Xiao Chen's back. Although Xiao Chen was worried about Lawrence, but the more desperate the situation, the keener his body and spiritual sense become. Sensing the legendary Xiao Li's flying dagger approaching, he made an incomparably bold action. He quickly pulled back the sealed godlight screen, and gathered all of them in his left hand. The North Star constellation made his palm brightly lit in contrast to other parts of his body. Xiao Chen didn't even turn around and used his hand to grab the crystal-clear throwing knife. The legendary Xiao Li's flying dagger that never missed a target was actually grabbed by Xiao Chen. Rowena, Carlos, Yang Qingcheng, and the rest were completely stupefied. The North Star constellation flickered with a glorious divine radiance in Xiao Chen's palm. He exerted his strength and snapped the throwing knife in an instant. The sound of space tearing apart resounded once more. The flying daggers ripped the space apart. 3 consecutive icy aura were launched toward Xiao Chen. All 3 resplendent sword chi was grabbed by Xiao Chen. This was a very big blow to Wharton. His face was incomparably pale. When he released those 3 attacks just now, it seemed like his 3 energies were also discharged. He spit out a mouthful of blood and collapsed. Xiao Chen was concerned about Lawrence's safety. He dropped the snapped-off throwing knives, and hastily supported Lawrence with his hand. "Lawrence, how do you feel?" "No harm." 1 mouthful of blood was supposed to be thrown up, the other mouthful was forced out by myself. Speaking until here, Lawrence shouted loudly, "Space confinement." "Xiao Chen, do it now." The movements of Carlos and Yang Qingcheng, who were launching spiritual attacks, instantly became sluggish at that moment. Xiao Chen didn't hesitate to strike with his sword. The resplendent sword chi caused the long sword to disintegrate. The incomparably brilliant rays of light swept across the front. Carlos staked all of his strength to break free from the space confinement. Then he soared into the sky, but he was still hit by that glaring sword chi. A huge amount of blood was left behind. Despite all that, he kept going without even looking back. The purple light shot down by Yang Qingcheng were also destroyed. The unstoppable sword chi even made her sustain a serious damage. She also staked all her strength to fly into the sky. However, just at this time, Xiao Chen utilized his secret technique to the pinnacle. Other than the North Star in his left hand, his right hand actually shone with a resplendent star. It was just as magnificent as the royal amethyst star. Xiao Chen waved his right hand. The star at the hollow of his palm actually transformed into a resplendent divine sword. He didn't hesitate to hack it towards the sky. The searing rays of light had more coverage than even the spellmaster's magic attack. The sword chi that soared into the sky actually cut off Yang Qingcheng's purple divine wing, and caused her to fall. Yang Qingcheng was seriously hurt, and fell towards the ground. The resplendent purple wing on her back was destroyed by Xiao Chen's sword chi like a delicate porcelain. She revealed a pained expression, continuously spit out a few mouthfuls of blood, and then fell onto the ground. Left hand with North Star, right hand with Royal Star, Xiao Chen felt both of his hands were brimming with inexhaustible power. Lawrence coughed as he stood up. "Lawrence, are you sure you are fine?" "It's nothing, it will recover in 2 or 3 days." In a distant place, Rowena was very amazed. She absolutely never thought Xiao Chen was this strong. She walked over with light steps. Xiao Chen turned his head around to look at the pale, yet incomparably beautiful Yang Qingcheng. Then he exclaimed, "I declare you are my slave from now on." 5 Yang Qingcheng. Her beauty could even captivate the birds and beasts. Her appearance could hide the moon and shame the flowers. Her charisma could even ruin and overturn the states. She was a genuine beauty unmatched in her generation. Right now, her pair of eyes were burning in fury. She was an overbearing woman. She'd rather die than becoming a slave. She stared at Xiao Chen wrathfully. A captive needs to understand their own position. Xiao Chen ignored her after he stopped talking. He began to inspect Lawrence's condition. The exceptionally beautiful Rowena smiled gently and said, "Xiao Chen, if you are fine with it, you can leave her to me. I assure you I will turn her into a qualified slave." "Good, I will leave her to you." At present, the chaotic massacre had persisted for 1 night. It already started to gradually settle down. It seemed like they had determined the victory or defeat between the few big factions. Even though some practitioners saw Xiao Chen and Lawrence, they didn't dare to start a fight with them. They already saw the terrifying strength of Xiao Chen and Lawrence. Of course, if the leaders of the big factions are here, it's hard to say whether Xiao Chen and Lawrence would be able to escape. It is already early morning at the moment, but the sun had not risen yet. A chilly wind mysteriously blew across the earth. the originally sizzling hot island is indescribably cold at the moment. It was like the screech of the ghosts. The chilly wind produced an ear-piercing screech. It appeared even more mind-boggling and frightening, especially at this sea of bones. Soon after, a yellow wind suddenly blew across the earth. The aura was still as cold as before, and the world had actually turned pale yellow. Yellow wind was a sign of great misfortune. It was the sign of a demon rising from hell. Of course, that was just a rumor. But it is indeed very mind-boggling at the moment. All the practitioners raised their heads to look at the sky. Rumble. Just at this time, yellow clouds shrouded the sky, and dropped a black lightning towards the ground. It made this place even more bizarre and eerie. And finally, heavy rain started to pour. It was actually yellow rain. Water screen was formed from the water droplets. The yellow heavy rain seemed so bizarre. It practically looked like a yellow dead water. This bizarre situation caused everyone to feel somewhat nervous. Lawrence suddenly opened his mouth and said, "If I didn't remember wrongly. Today seems to be Ghost Festival." After entering the world of Immortals, Xiao Chen had long forgotten what date was it today. He didn't even know the months and year of this world. That's right. The extraordinary beautiful Rowena's voice was a little shaky. Ghost Festival. How can it be? Xiao Chen was not very convinced. Lawrence nodded and said, "Yes, of course it is not trustworthy. I only suddenly recalled it after seeing this bizarre situation and the surrounding sea of bones." Only, immediately after they stopped talking, something incomparably bizarre took place in between the deafening thunder and water screen. One immeasurably tall, an ancient city emerged from among the sea of bones. 2. Not only did Xiao Chen and the gang saw it, the other practitioners also did. In that instant, everyone present held their breath. They simply couldn't believe their eyes. This ancient city within the rain was too imposing. It was emitting a majestic aura. The city wall was about 100 meters tall. It was higher and bigger than any big city in the mainland. And yet it was brimming with the vicissitudes of time. Who knows just how long ago this ancient city wall had been built? It seemed like it had traversed the space-time continuum and came from the ancient era. That 100-meter tall city gate opened widely. It was directly facing a number of practitioners. Even if the rain was pouring heavily, it was also difficult for the water screen to conceal the scene inside the city gate. There were groups of soldiers within the city wall. They seemed like yin warriors with murky deathly aura. They were practicing uniformly under the rain. It was hard to judge which dynasty they used to serve from the ancient armor they were wearing. Afterwards, someone cried out in alarm, because those people already recognized those armor. They looked completely identical to the written records in the ancient book. Some of them were wearing the ancient armor of Celestial Warrior, and there were also some wearing the ancient armor of Yin Warrior. The negative aura from the Sea of Bones was heavy, but it was still not comparable to that of the bizarre ancient city located in the center of the Sea of Bones. The divine monolith in the center of the Sea of Bones was already nowhere to be seen. Perhaps it was due to the appearance of the ancient city that this flat land seemed to have significantly been enlarged. Just at this time, the stench of blood suddenly assailed everyone's nose. Someone finally cried out in alarm, "Blood! It's watery blood!" 3. Within the dark sky, that intense yet glaring lightning brandished wildly. They could clearly see the raindrop within the intervals of the electric light. The raindrop actually turned scarlet red. The stench of blood assailed the nostrils. The world was actually covered by a layer of bloody curtain. The rainwater had transformed into watery blood. 4. This was seriously too terrifying and scary. This made everyone in place unable to suck in a cold breath. Everyone could feel their scalp go numb, their back breaking out in cold sweat, and the hair all over their body standing on end. It gave rise to a bone-chilling fear. Not only did the ancient city's 100-meter tall city wall emit an ancient aura, it also appears incomparably mind-boggling after being bathed in the rain of blood. It seemed like a huge monsters, which broke the bounds of time and came from the ancient era. The fiendish aura it emitted could break anyone's willpower. Someone said in terror, "Those things embedded on the city gate are." All of them couldn't help but raise their heads to see. They could only see a huge eternal wheel of life. Many people couldn't refrain from shouting, "That looked exactly like Buddha's eternal wheel of life in legends." Buddha, Laozi, and all the experts on their level already disappeared countless years ago. Why would his eternal will be embedded here? It seemed to be smashed onto the wall. It seemed like he wanted to destroy the city gate. And the mysterious city seemed extremely bizarre under the rain of blood. It seemed like the legendary artifact of Buddha had been viciously smashed onto the wall. Many huge cracks appeared on the ancient wall near the Eternal Wheel. The right side of the city gate had suffered serious damage. Clearly, someone tried to use the Eternal Wheel to attack these wall before. However, the Eternal Wheel had been confined by these bizarre black wall. If their guess was correct, then this thing was more terrifying than they originally thought. To make the merciful Buddha become like this, it was obvious that he must have been really furious. But he even lost his Buddhist artifact in the end. One could imagine just how bizarre this ancient city was. After all, the legendary Buddha was a figure as powerful as Laozi. His magic power and ability surpassed the ancients and dazzling contemporaries. He didn't have much worthy adversary during that time period. Tree demon, evil spirit. Those people screamed in fear. All the ancient trees have come to life. They have transformed into evil spirits. That incomparably exuberant ancient woods at the rear turned extremely eerie at the moment. All the ancient trees were fluttering about under the rain of blood. A human face had appeared on the trunks of every ancient trees. It truly seemed like they had been possessed by malicious spirits. All the branches were like demonic hands that firmly bound the practitioners. Their bodies were slowly corroded and absorbed into the tree. Only a few with enough strength were able to make it back. Dozens of people lost their life in the ancient forest. Xiao Chen and Lawrence casted a quick glance at each other. They felt somewhat shaken up. Everything that happened today was really too bizarre. Nobody was able to understand what was going on. The extraordinary beautiful Rowena, who could turn all living things upside down with her cute act, is no longer acting in a seductive manner. Her voice trembled as she said, "Today is the Ghost Festival, the legend is true. The gate to the underworld shall open, the aura of life will weaken, and the sovereign of death will descend upon the world." Nonsense, whence had you ever seen this kind of situation in the world of immortals? Lawrence coughed moderately, his face was somewhat pale. His body really doesn't seem that good. The scarlet rain of blood poured down continuously, but not a single drop was able to make contact with Xiao Chen's body. The invisible aura around his body blocked every drops of rain. He calmly gazed at the ancient city, and said, "For all the dragons as powerful as deities to be sealed back then, I suspect it had something to do with this ancient city." "I also thought so." Lawrence nodded his head in agreement. The mutual killing between the numerous practitioners had already come to an end a long time ago. They divided into a few big factions and stood at opposite sides. As for Xiao Chen's party and other lone wolf, they did not join up with those big power. The appearance of the ancient city and rain of blood gave those schemers no other choice but to form a truce. At last, everyone who was scattered at the Sea of Bones came together. Those key figures seemed to have reached a compromise and no longer continued to fight. There were plenty of human figures. The fight between the schemers this time led to a battle royal, which resulted in the death of 200 plus people. There are presently 400 plus people remaining on Dragon Island. And among these numbers, 300 plus were gathered in this Sea of Bones. Nobody dared to act blindly without thinking. Facing the unknowns, everyone could feel a great sense of danger. They could only gather together and watch the ancient city attentively. Xiao Chen hastily lent an arm to support him. His pair of eyes emitted 2 streaks of divine light. Buddhist Ichi actually died like this. Xiao Chen mourned in silence. "Don't feel sad, it's good that you're alive." He tried to console Buddhist Ichian like this. Buddhist Ichi had reached Exuvia 5th celestial layer at the very least. He might had even broken through to Exuvia 6th celestial layer, but he was actually killed by 3/. That person's ability couldn't be taken lightly. The big confrontation between the schemers this time caused many experts to fall. Except for Buddhist Ichian from the Dharma Alliance, everyone else perished. "Is that guy solitary sword demon?" Xiao Chen asked. "I only saw a person covered by black fog from head to toes. He killed my senior brother, destroyed my Dharma Alliance, and injured me with a sword slash. Yet I was unable to see his true identity." Speaking until here, Buddhist Ichian had an expression worlds apart from his transcendental self in the past. He was incomparably sorrowful, and emitted waves of murderous aura. The North Star light screen emerged from Xiao Chen's left hand. One after another divine radiance flowed into Buddhist Ichian's body, and stabilized the condition of his injury. "The only reason I was able to survive was because someone came to save me." Speaking until here, Buddhist Ichian recalled the scenario at that time. His face was a little excited as he said, a woman surrounded by hazy bright mist, she actually used the divine law. What? Lawrence, who was at the back, cried out in surprise. He quickly walked forward to ask, is what you said the truth? She used the power of time. I saw it with my own eyes. She utilized the legendary divine law, and made that terrifying person in black fog become as slow as snail. It was as if he was caught in a swamp. 6. Space was highly regarded, but time is above all else. Void Master Lawrence had a feverish look in his eyes. This video will end here.